Welcome to TradersArmy.com, defending your right to build wealth and preserve capital for generations to come.
Yeah, Monday. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday. It's February the 11th. Hope everybody had an absolutely amazing trading day last week and had a great weekend. We're going to do what we do each and every day. Take a look at the same 10 to 12 futures markets, identifying potential breakout trades and reversals from an educational perspective. Let's dive right in. So those of you that are Thinkorswim users, I think we had a little bit of an issue with the platform last night. There were some updates, and so I had to do things a little bit differently this morning as I'm still having a little bit of issues. I'm going to have to give tech support a call, so give me a little bit of grace this morning on our video, but I think we'll be okay. So the S&P this morning, we're up about 9 points early today. And, I thought as we did a live trading room last night, and I thought, there's an opportunity for a potential reversal on one of these 15-minute levels as we had kind of fallen. Looking at that at the smaller time period, we were on a 15-minute level. I thought as we were doing the live trading room last night that this would act as some decent little supply, and we may have come down from there. Unbeknownst, we actually continued to rally up throughout the whole evening, and then at our 2 o'clock movement, right when the European markets opened, we gained a lot of strength and a lot of momentum. So that what that does. When I look at that, I'll go back to there. When I look at that S&P from a 1 hour time period, as I zoom in on that a little bit, this is the origin of a pretty big move up right there at the European market open. So for those of you that are interested in maybe catching a little bit of a retracement here, this would be the area, the opportunity to get in. When I look at what we're doing on the big picture, the 4 hour, 4 hour still tells me to be a buyer, right? It still tells me I've got higher swing highs and higher swing lows. I'm seeing a weakening in momentum, but my 4 hour is still telling me to be a buyer. So that could be a decent opportunity to get long on a pullback into that region. Now, I still like these levels down here significantly better. I think these levels down here are better areas, but if I want to do, get back in, this could be a good spot to do so, and primarily because it was right at that European market open. In the NASDAQ, so the NASDAQ, we've got a demand area somewhere down in here where we could see a little bit of a reversal. Now, the NASDAQ, unlike the S&P, when I look at the 4 hour chart, it did actually put in a little bit of a deeper pullback on this. And so one of the things that we were discussing last night in the live trade room was a potential for a breakdown below this region. If we break down below here, then I think there's room for price to kind of continue to fall. But for what I see at the moment is that we're still above there. There's no reason to be against this at the moment. This would be the same equivalent area in the NASDAQ as we had in the S&P. So look for a potential reversal right in that region, right in there. Next, crude oil. So in crude oil, we're in between two levels, two areas of supply, two areas of demand, sitting here right at this 52.38. We had seen a pretty strong fall off of one of these levels up in here, and I think that could be where we would see a bit of a reversal. We had set up, we've got. Let me zoom in on that there a little bit more clearly. So off of the 15-minute level, there are, we have this huge drop right in here in price, but then there's all these areas here that are very wicky, right? Anytime I see all those wicks, I'm going to get a little bit more concerned. A lot of wicks tells me that there was a lot of indecision in there. And then this big long wick in here trading all the way to the bottom of this one, all of these wicks just wipe a lot of things out, right? Wipes out a lot of areas. So now I think that if you wanted to trade this in a candle-to-candle format, you've got a good opportunity with price kind of getting lower than this high upper wick. In gold, one of the things on gold is that we have a good little reversal trade here that's already started and already happening in gold, continuing its move down. This level that we see here in the GC prices are falling pretty precipitously, but once again, we're still between our areas of both demand and supply. Our next level now that we've put one in would be this area right up in here. Now, this area of supply would correspond with an area of demand in the equity markets. So keep that area in mind. So there are the gold and S&P levels. Let's take a look at our bonds and currencies. So in our bond markets, we have a little bit of a demand area down here. Nothing really new to add to that level from Friday. As Friday, we were just kind of chopping around. We've sold off a little bit, but it's helping us to get down to that area of demand. Nothing essentially new to add. In the Aussie, so last night in the Aussie was really our best trade of the evening. For those of you guys that were in the live trade room, let me know if you took the breakdown. We were talking about it was the 1 hour chart, those upper wicks and a potential breakdown below here. So we did get, and now obviously when you take your breakdown below here, your stop goes above the prior pivot. So we got a little bit of a breakdown, chopped back up in, and now we've fallen to our profit target. So those of you that were in the trade room, let me know if you took that one in the overnight hours. That one actually was the one that I thought was the best trade of the evening, and it's worked out really nicely. Now we're to the profit target objective in there, and I don't see. I see a little bit of support coming from this region here, but this is really our next area of demand. So if you're short, you can certainly take some off the table and allow the rest to continue to run from last night's session. If you are in the euro position, the euro has continued its downward move. I don't see the euro gaining a whole lot of strength. We've got some demand areas down in here. If we slide this down into the 15-minute chart, on the 15-minute chart, this was a retest right here. This wick right here was a retest of this level here to the left, which is a pretty good area overall. Right there at the, we retested the European market open, and now we're selling off again. I think if you wanted to get short, I think that these upper wicks are giving you an opportunity to get short on a breakdown, maybe below this hammer candle's low, for price to continue its move. And then in the Canadian dollar. So in the Canadian dollar, we came up and hit our Canadian dollar short on Friday and then got a really nice move away. So let me know in the comment section below if you're able to catch that Canadian dollar short. So I need to remove this level now. And we're seeing here a lot of the same thing that we saw in the crude oil, as far as price beginning and kind of continuing that move down. Canadian dollar and crude oil have a very strong correlation at the moment. When I pull this up, interestingly enough, we look at the daily chart. If I throw the comparison chart on there, and this is something that we had taken a look at last week, this is comparing crude oil to the S&P. However, I'm going to compare it to, this is comparing the Canadian dollar to the S&P. Let me compare it to crude. Now, what you can see here is that in comparing this to crude, we see that as of about October, we've essentially seen, as far as the shape of price, a near perfect correlation, right? In what crude oil does that the Canadian dollar does. Now, before that, it was almost an inverse correlation, right? You can see we had this big move up, this move down here. So it was nearly an inverse correlation at that point, but right now we're at a near perfect correlation. So using the Canadian dollar to help confirm oil is a great tool, and by the way, it works the other way around as well. All right. Last and certainly not least, let's take a look at our Great British Pound and Japanese Yen. Let me pull that one up here right quick. Let's see, I know I've already pulled that one up. There it is. Oops, nope, there it is. Okay, so Great British Pound, Japanese Yen. So we can see here that in the pound, we are still below some of those above some of those areas that we had talked about. We did get a little bit of a breakdown in the overnight session, breakdown below this region here. This did serve as a little reversal point trade, and I think price is continuing to move. So if you think that there's more room for price to fall, you could just get short below this line here. because I think there is room for price to fall to eventually retrace this big speed candle area there. And then in the Japanese yen, we finally did get a breakdown into our 15-minute level. Came out of it just a little bit, and now we're chopping back. Remember, our rules on a 15-minute candle is what happens in 6 candlesticks, right? We've touched it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No real movement. We did get a little bit of a movement there to get you to move your stop out and to break even. But realistically, this trade looks like it's going to continue to fall through. And now, if that is the case, that indeed does look like it's going to be the case. We can now look a little bit higher for a supply level as a place to get short, because we are, now continuing this move down. So the origin of this move would be on the 1 hour. We could take this area here, which was the origin of that breakdown area, and see if we get a retracement back into that zone. All right, so that is all I have for today. I know I was a little bit wonky this morning, dealing with a little bit of a combination of slower than usual hotel internet plus a download of a platform that had to update things. So a little bit wonky this morning, but hope you guys have an absolutely amazing trading day. If you've got any questions, please send me an email, support@tradersarmy.com. I will see you all real soon. Thanks so much.